Good morning. Welcome to Community Voice. I'm your host, Keith Parris. I want to thank everybody for joining us this morning. Good morning, Debo. Good morning, Jermaine. What up, Clark Kent?
Sir.
Yeah, with you. You brothers, y'all can compose yourself.
Well, after
What did you just ask? What
you said? If you was composed, and I was gonna say after passing out a whole box of tissue to Debo, for all them
a whole
tears,
box of tissue to
a
Debo.
whole box, yeah. Because
Can we just get through one church service where we don't have to take up an offering?
Doc,
Can we get through one?
Because Pastor need new rims on his car, so I'm going.
You need some gas for that jet. Need that jet fuel.
For that, was that the Audi he was driving?
Yeah, no, man, that was the
Saab.
That was the
Saab.
Yeah, man. You know, I got a cracked rim on my right side.
Only black folks can pimp a Saab.
Yeah, and I did it too
Not
with
can, but would.
Yeah,
can and will.
And did.
I don't understand that, man. You buy a $80,000 Mercedes Benz.
Yeah,
you don't need to put anything on it.
And that's what I don't understand with these cats, man. That because once you put rims or you get to putting kits on it, you change the value of your vehicle.
Oh man, but it just says something. It's country in my mind, but
yeah,
what I know.
No, that is country. Because why would you put some rims on a Benz or a Lexus or a Porsche or something like that? Just ride regular. You know, that's what I would do.
You know, one of the byproducts of me having a stroke is that if I get like a little head cold, everything just man, because where it was, take care of yourself, man. We got tickets. Okay. That was a fun interview yesterday. That's one of the great things Michelle was talking about. She wanted it in her obituary that she interviewed a sitting president. She wanted that in there. So I guess, Rhonda, if you're listening, if there will be an obituary at my memorial service,
after the burning,
right? That please list in there that I talked to the vice president twice.
And
do it for me, Debo.
And the person
is this Mr. Parris?
That he didn't, Mr. Legend too.
He didn't have to say his name.
Huh?
She got on there. He didn't even have to say it on there. He didn't say, "Hi, this is Keith Parris. I'm with." Oh, hi. Is this Mr. Parris? Mr. Parris, mind you.
Hey, that's the respect level.
Yeah, man. So you get always from time to time. Always just kind of reflect back on. And I'll do this because today is Tuesday. Be healthy, be you at the bottom of the hour. But the thing about some of the great interviews that I've had the opportunity to have, that there is Eric Holder,
John Legend.
John
Now that was funny.
That was funny. John Legend, bruh man. Yeah, bruh man. Obviously, Vice President Kamala Harris. Boy, I one of the things. I don't know if I just started, and I don't know if I was here or still at WGLB, but we had an interview with then he would have been Secretary of Education, whatever, Department of Instruction, Tony Evers, and he won the election, and so they had a ecumenical prayer breakfast, service over at Mount Zion Church. And so we're down in the reception area. Michelle was there. Dr. Myers was there. Other people there. And I get this phone call, and it's like from a 608 area code. And I was like, oh, who? I need to answer this. It was Tony Evers calling me personally to thank me. And I was like, I was just blown away. After that, he became my guy. But now he loved Keon because Keon used to call him Pretty Tony.
Pretty Tony, what they call him.
Pretty Tony, what they call him. And he fell in love with Keon when Keon would say, "Is it Pretty Tony?" Pretty Tony, what they call him. So that interview, wow. Certainly, the Eric Holder, the first interview, I didn't know if I was going to be able to do it. And, it is never an issue, but it can be an issue, right? Because, look, what me and Michelle does, what we do is, we do talk radio. So anytime we call it a get, you can get somebody. No, you really want to, because that's how you earn your bones, right? The people you interview. And so I didn't know with Eric Holder whether or not I was going to be able to have that interview because of time. Well, it turned out that when I got to the station, they said, you'll be interviewing Eric Holder because of the time, and he's coming in. So I called Rhonda, she's a big Eric Holder fan. I called Rhonda and I said, because when I left the house, I said, I don't know if I'm going to be doing that interview. I called her back right before the program and I said, hey, I think I'm doing the interview. He's going to be in person. 7 minutes later, I'm not lying to you. My wife was in front.
She pulled up.
And I don't know if y'all remember January 21st, 2020. No, January, what I mean, 2017. Yeah. There was this massive protest they had in Washington, the Women's March. And they had something called pussy hats. And what they were pink hats, because of that whole thing about grabbing genitalia.
Oh, yeah.
And so Rhonda had one. So she comes with her pussy hat on right here. And oh boy, her and Eric Holder. It was just like, dude, that is my wife. Let's see. Interviewing the guy who did the inspection. That was a great interview because I actually saw the movie. I don't know if you all know the premise of the inspection. This queer young man was put out his home. His mama rejected the fact that he was gay, and she put him out at 14, 15. He joined the Marines. He talks about, so he does the movie called The Inspection. And to be able to have that conversation with him, only so I could say, and I wasn't saying that he was bad in the movie, but man, Gabrielle Union, she was as close to Precious's mama as you ever going to get. George Wallace was also a great interview. Me and DJ got a chance to talk to George Wallace. So that has always been so cool that you get a chance to meet people, talk to people, have these conversations with people. And kind of gets us back to Mike Schultz yesterday. I did not know that was his wife in car wash. I did not know. But, the fact that he worked, like when he said, oh man, they asked him, how you feel about working with Norman Whitfield? He said, what? Norman Whitfield? Shoot. Do. Yeah. And me and Michelle was talking about before it came on air. And I guess I'd have to go out and see now if you can get a VHS. I don't even have a VHS player, but he pointed out that 3 years later they couldn't use any of the music.
Because of copyrights.
Because of copyright. He said they had gotten the original rights for $3,000, but then I think it turns into something else when you do distribution of the movie, and people kind of figured out, because that's when record companies, because you could listen, you could listen to all types of, or watch all kind of movies, and people would have people's music they may or may not even pay them for it. Try it now. That's why for rappers, it's so hard for them to sample because they can't afford to sample.
Yeah, especially if you don't clear it with the company, and then you negotiate a certain number.
Because didn't I'm thinking Rick James got $1 million
for
Super Freak that was used by MC Hammer.
Yeah.
So
and then who's that guy that sing every step I take? Sting. I think Sting get $1 million a day for the rest of his life from Puffy them camp. It's something like that. You can actually Google it.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we talk about it all the time. I got two guys who are in the music business. That's why your production and your writing credits is more important than your performance.
You better believe it.
You all were talking about Otis Redding yesterday, and it actually wasn't Lake Geneva. That was Billy
Madison,
Ray.
wasn't it?
It was Madison. Billy Ray Vaughan. His helicopter trashed in Lake Geneva.
Yeah.
But look, his estate is still making money just from respect.
Yeah, and it was crazy because
we think it's a Aretha Franklin song.
Yeah.
And actually it's Otis Redding.
It's Otis, yeah. Because right before Otis died, my uncle, which is my dad's brother, he in the music industry heavy. and he spoke with Otis right before he died. He had a phone conversation with him, talked with
And
him
we
about salvation.
interviewed somebody from the Barcades, didn't we? Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Didn't
interviewed
you
somebody from the
interview
Barcades.
Lenny too?
Yeah,
No,
Lenny's
Michelle
been
did
here.
Lenny.
Oh, that was
Yeah, well, Lenny's
that
been
was
here a
Michelle?
couple times.
Yeah, Michelle
I
did
interviewed Lenny as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so what a great thing to just be able to have conversations with people, and some of them, you just go like, wow, this is. But the John Legend, and just so y'all know what the issue was with John Legend, when I first started Hater Nation, the first hate I sent out was on John Legend, and we wear John Legend out. Now I wore out John Legend and Alicia Keys. Those were the two folks. Every chance I got to throw hate, I threw hate. Light skinned,
Plays piano.
The whole thing, pedestrian talent that we're talking about, Alicia Keys. Now, John Legend, he was salutarian in his high school class. He graduated with honors from Penn. He went on, he's an EGOT. I mean, all those things, perfect wife, the whole thing. And so then when they said during the campaign, you get a chance to talk to John Legend, and Debo and Michelle was wearing me out. Go and hate on him now. Come on, man. You know better than that. You hate behind people's back.
Tell them about Hater Nation, man.
And Debo, you gonna tell them about Hater Nation? I almost went there.
We was like Mahalia was doing Martin. Tell them about the dream. Tell them about the dream.
So let me thank the station for this opportunity. Let me thank, even when I was at WGLB, some of the people I had an opportunity to have conversations with. Who was the brother from Run DMC? Not Reverend Run, the other brother, the horse brother.
What's his name?
Horse brother.
Yeah, he kind of has a horse raspy. He had something. Because the DJ got killed, and then now we found out that was a drug deal.
And that was his guy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what that was when he got killed at the studio?
Yeah, when they killed Jam Master Jay. It just, it came out, man, that it was his guy, man. His guy set him up. Like his main man. That was, man, that's.
It takes a fool.
Man.
The love don't love nobody.
To learn. Love don't love nobody. Y'all know it.
Man, what you think about the breaking news today?
What, my boss?
Who's your boss? Oh, yeah.
County Executive David Crowley.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, I think, when Governor Evers said he wasn't going to seek re-election, I think his name was one of the names that they put out there, his name, Mayor Cavalier Johnson and some other folks. I ain't got nothing but mad respect and love for David Crowley. David Crowley was my assembly person. I always embarrass him telling the story, but, it just shows you. I was calling his office for something. I had some complaint. It's rare that I do that, but I had some complaint. And I called his office, and he answered the phone. And I said, wow, I wasn't expecting to get you. He said, I was in the office. He answered the phone. And after that, it was always, just I knew his dad. And you're right in terms of his ascension. I think he makes a great governor. Now, like he said, 2 years is a long time, and a lot can be happening or could happen within that 2-year period where you can it can get real close. I was watching something on the Vietnam War, and they talked about the election in 1968 and how Humphrey had pivoted on Nixon, and he was gaining ground on Nixon. And right a week before the election, because what Johnson had done, Lyndon Johnson had decided not to run for re-election because of Vietnam. What he did was he stopped the bombing of North Vietnam, and that really helped Humphrey catch up. But then there were protesters in the streets, and I think the people need to be kind of mindful of some of the parallels we see. I always say that history is prologue. that there were real kind of violence on the streets, and that's when Nixon was able to, and I think that was the closest election in U.S. history. That one in 1968, one of the closest. But a lot of that changed in terms of messaging, and he was just able to eke out a victory. So it really does come down to the last minute. Everybody knows what happened in 2016. Was it Mueller or Barr? Whoever the attorney general came out and said that Hillary Clinton was under investigation, and even though later find out she did nothing wrong, just throwing that out there was just enough to tip the iceberg or other things, and it becomes a margin election. We know what happened in 2016, where when you look, I think Donald Trump, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, something like maybe 60, 70,000 votes between those three states. Had any one of those states gone a different direction, Hillary Clinton would have been president. And things matter. You don't think about. And then there's something else that we're learning. Those folks who are supposed to be political scientists, and you pay attention to things, that there are people out there who weren't involved in a past election who might show up. This is why Black folks had, in certain areas, certainly had nothing to do or very little to do with why Donald Trump was elected. It was white folks that elected Donald Trump. It was white folks that elected Barack Obama, right? And so we need to keep that in mind, that, that there were some who were blaming, Black folks not showing up in 2016, and it wasn't. But then to find out that Black folks did show up in 2024, certainly in Milwaukee, in the city of Milwaukee, was telling in a lot of different directions. But the way with gerrymandering, the concentration where Black folks are, you may or may not be able to, you can have an impact on what they call margin elections, but it's really where people are going, and a group that becomes real important. And I know people say we get them outsized kind of influence in an election, but it matters is those so-called independents, right? Where are they going? Because the country in some ways is evenly divided. And then you have that group of people who, independents tend to lean more conservative. But, things like what's happening with the economy. I just went in the store yesterday and I spent so much money. And all of a sudden it began to hit me. The cost of living is going up, man. It's costing, man. You got and in spite of Donald Trump saying, don't believe your eyes, don't believe your experience, sounding like Herbert Hoover, prosperity is right around the corner. The reality is that we're in pretty good shape. We were in pretty good shape. And, it comes to messaging. I know a lot of people, they want to believe that they vote. I vote on the issues. Yeah, but you also vote on how those issues are couched,
right?
How they're sold to you. One of the things that had impact was the whole transgender piece. A lot of people don't talk about that. You're talking about 0.000% of the population had an outsized, because there were people out there talking about men competing in women's sports. And people don't believe that men, and I would say men should not compete in women's sports, right? And so it played on just enough people where that becomes an issue. You'd be surprised that the little things that we don't think is a big issue becomes a real big issue. It was abortion that drove the state Supreme Court race here, where, women were very concerned because of the Dobbs decision, which in effect kind of eliminated abortion as constitutionally guaranteed and put it back at the states. And there are people who are concerned about that. So there are, and I know people should be one issue voters, but I'm telling you that people are. Now for Black people, 2008, 2012 was easy. I mean, how could you be a Black person in America and say you didn't vote for Barack Obama? How you do that? You say that publicly. It's just like you're a Black person saying you voted for Donald Trump. Oh, but and trust me, there were some Negroes who didn't vote for Barack Obama. They didn't. And you'd hear people, and then I'd have brothers calling in, what Barack Obama do for black people? Negro, please. Negro, please. What Donald Trump do for black people? I don't know if y'all noticed. You got to pay attention. My late colleague, Joe Madison said you need to listen with a third ear. Under Donald Trump, do you know that black unemployment has gone up for both black men and black women?
Yeah. Yeah.
Under Donald Trump. And he ain't been in office no more than 7 months.
And it's mighty strange because and this is what I thought about, Keith. You can tell me what you think. I thought, could it be possible that Trump want to get all of the illegal immigrants out? So he would be able to push us to those jobs.
Oh, like we gonna go work them?
Well, I mean, but you see everything at their time to that, like food sharing, all that other stuff that you got to work a certain amount of hours. So after a while, if you can't find a job, the jobs that's available to you,
but that change in SNAP, that change in Medicaid was dealing with the deficit. And what you do is you don't cut the benefit. What you make it is the benefit more difficult for you to obtain.
Yeah.
And people just give up and go, man, I'm not going to even go through all of this, right? Back in the day, unemployment was easy. I mean, you do whatever you got to do. Then they put you on work search, but that was just so you can figure out a way not to pay out money, because if you say you can't go out and just say you're going to cut it, because if you're just going to do the cuts, now it impacts, and those Medicaid cuts that they're talking about are going to have a dramatic impact on rural people. Not just urban people. We always talk about the urban poor, but you got a significant part of our population that is rural poor. And that's why Fred Hampton had a genius where he says that, don't get caught up in the race piece. This is a class economic issue. And I just saw a poll, which I didn't know they measured this, where they're saying that 60%, it used to be 60% of people were supportive of capitalism. That's dropped now to 54%. So I think people are seeing things out there where you're seeing this erosion. Congress basically has no backbone to stand up to Donald Trump, even though he's doing disastrous things that can begin to impact on the people that they represent. You see what's happening with the Supreme Court. That's why Michelle's thing that elections have consequences. We'd be in a very different situation if Hillary Clinton wins in 2016 and not Donald Trump. So, all right. You're listening to Community Voice. As I said earlier, at the bottom of the hour, we'll be inside Be Healthy, Be You. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back. We're inside Be Healthy, Be You. Miss Julia Means and Miss Marie Buchanan from Ascension, Wisconsin. Good morning, ladies. How are you?
Good morning.
You weren't here last week.
Oh, yes, it was the holiday, after the holiday. We're like, what? Yeah, I didn't even work that day, so
You did?
I took off that Tuesday.
Yeah, how was your Labor Day holiday?
I went up north.
North.
Yeah, a friend of mine has a place up there. She stays there all summer. So as
On
soon
the
as I
lake?
was done from work Friday, no, but it's got a swimming pool.
Oh.
So I just, as soon as I was out of work, I headed straight north.
You left work.
Left, didn't come back.
No, not out of work. You left work.
Oh, as soon as I left work, yeah. As soon as I left work. As soon as I clocked out, I was on my way.
What was it Friday? DJ was telling the story. He said, "Yeah, they had these two twins." I said, "There's four of them."
Yeah.
Oh man, so
Keith.
yeah, we're going to talk about the importance of vaccines, right?
Mm-hmm.
I always do this on the air since we've been doing Be Healthy, Be You. That I will get my flu shot this morning, and you'll give me the paperwork so I can update my medical
Sadly,
records.
we've not been able to convince anybody else in this building to get a flu shot today. However, we're leaving it open.
When we did, kind of the height of COVID, DJ contracted flu. He didn't have COVID. He had influenza.
Oh, that's
and
nasty.
he talked about it was something, man.
Mm-hmm. That's what I say. People often think they've had the flu. Oh, no, I have the flu. You don't have the flu. I mean, that's a true respiratory in your chest, but it's, systemic
I think
symptoms.
people talk about when they throw up.
Oh, yeah. Or they get a really bad head cold or, and they think they have the flu. But true influenza will knock you out for a good week, at least, sometimes two, especially if you're older. But you're exhausted, your entire body aches, you run a fever, your chest hurts, it's a really, really nasty illness. So I don't know anybody that's had the flu that doesn't continue to get the flu shot after that. Once people have real influenza, they're like, I'm getting my shot.
Now, people will talk about, explain why people say they feel worse that first day when they get their flu shots. What is that?
Well, that's an immune response. So just like when your children get their vaccines, when you bring them home that first day, that night, they're going to be fussy. They may run a temp. That's just the body developing antibodies to be able to fight off the infection in the future. So it's a normal response. That you might feel a little tired or achy. That doesn't mean that the vaccine was bad or that you're getting a reaction from it. That's actually a good response, showing that your immune system is building antibodies.
So if people didn't get the flu vaccine on a normal year, I hate to use that term, normal, it's about 15 to 30,000 people who will die.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, including some children.
Yeah.
It is people don't realize how serious the flu is. Again, it's not a really bad head cold or you're coughing and sneezing. True influenza is really a nasty disease. I mean, you look back in, years ago before we even knew how to protect ourselves. Many people, millions of people died of, influenza. And so the vaccine has been able to help
us. It's like
us.
COVID, right? It was
Correct.
Something that we weren't prepared for in terms of epidemic and then pandemic. Kind of same thing. So there could be another virus out there similar. These are COVID is respiratory, influenza is respiratory. So again, you always hear like the basketball players that were hung over too sick to play.
Yeah, and they got the
said
stomach
flu-like.
flu.
Yeah, they go,
Yeah.
they got flu-like. And I'm like,
Yeah,
no,
they don't have the stomach flu.
The flu is,
And
there's
when
there's no such thing as stomach flu, right?
Well, it's not. Some people call it stomach flu. It is a virus that tends to go around in the fall that affects the GI system and can cause nausea, vomiting, diarrhea. And so people, because it's around that time, they say it's the stomach flu. But really, it's we got some people freaking out over here looking at the shots. I'm not.
She looked like she getting do surgery.
I know. And you're not going to get yours
before
today,
you.
huh?
Look, I'm looking like, wait a minute.
Why don't you just pull that shirt up and let me give you one?
Listen here. I'd rather see it on Keith than.
Okay, now when you're
Wow.
sick.
Well, when I'm sick, I call my mama.
Oh, your mama can't. She might have the. You don't want your.
She graduate from.
Yeah, and you don't want your mama.
Hard knocks.
And you don't want your mama coming over to see you when you got the flu, because you don't want her to get it. Because as an older person, and I'm including myself in that, we are much greater risk of bad outcomes with the flu. He is watching. Look at that.
Yeah, man, this dude crazy, man.
You didn't even feel it, did you?
Yeah, I do feel it. Yeah, I feel it.
Hey, I saw his eyes like,
Lord,
Lord
somebody's
Jesus.
mom. I'm going to give you some. I'm going to give you something to cry for.
Oh, well, most of our
now
patients.
we'll bleed to death over here. Oh.
Most of our patients say, "You did it already? I didn't even feel it."
Well, listen.
But you probably would be like falling out on the floor, like screaming or something.
Oh
right?
Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's the time I did get the flu shot and I had sciatica.
Listen here, man. I'm gonna take what is it,
Yeah.
or
And I don't know if anybody's ever been, recently hospitalized. But one of the things they do, they try to prevent you from getting blood clots.
yeah.
So I was taking these shots. Man, my stomach looked like I had like somebody had
like
just
a little
beat
pin
up on me.
cushion.
Really?
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah,
because of
man.
the shots.
Yeah,
Right, because so getting a blood clot is way worse than the little shots that you get, but it does. Your stomach gets sore. It's not used to that.
No,
all
guess
bruised
not.
up.
Just
So imagine the people that have to give themselves insulin 4 or 5 times a day.
yeah,
That's
which is great now because now you can do oral.
for some, depending on the type of, depending on your diabetes, how bad it is, and
Equus?
yeah.
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 Jardians too, right? Is that also?
Yeah, it depends on the type of diabetes you have and how much your pancreas secretes insulin. So for some people, even with type 2, they might be, they may give themselves 3-4 shots a day. They may take some oral meds to help out, but they still might need that insulin.
You talked about the pancreas, and that this is kind of, I'll go down a rabbit hole every chance I get. So is that why pancreatic cancer has such a high mortality rate? Is because it's not secreting, or
no? The reason it has such a high mortality rate is the pancreas is really tucked in there with other organs. It's very difficult to see it, or even people have symptoms until it's really advanced. There's people that may present with other symptoms, like maybe depending on how the pancreas is damaged from the cancer. They might have high blood sugars, and then they're like, oh, they have diabetes, and treat them. But later on, we find out there was a big tumor hiding under there. Sometimes it's difficult to see those tumors because of where they are, and the way they grow and they wrap around all of the vasculature in that area. And so it's better now than it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Before, my best friend died of pancreatic cancer.
Lost my father-in-law to pancreatic cancer.
Yeah, and it usually, when people are diagnosed, it's usually within 6 weeks. If it's like that's how it used to always be. They were diagnosed, within probably 6 weeks they were going to be gone. But now with, I think, better diagnostics, better treatments, they're looking more for it than they did before. The scans are better. So that kind of helps. So, but there are people that are surviving pancreatic cancer now, which years ago that would never have been an option. Mm-hmm.
He had pancreatic cancer. He had pancreatic cancer, and he claimed healing from his. He did everything
The doctor told him.
the doctor told him to do, and they still didn't give him
Yeah,
long to live.
because it has a high mortality.
They didn't give him long to live, and he is, how they say, yet alive and doing well. And they've interviewed him nationally and everything because he was supposed to die.
Well, do you think though genetics probably plays a part of that too, right?
It could be.
I mean, in just terms of how we're made up.
Oh yeah. Definitely. I mean, the way that our body is, that again, everything's like in that part where the pancreas is, everything's kind of all squished together, tucked in together. It's a difficult surgery. You can't live without a pancreas, although they are doing some pancreatic implants now, which were never before. And they're doing much, again, as surgical technique improves too, the more that they can do these things. But one of the leading causes of at least pancreatitis that also leads to pancreatic cancer or hides it is alcoholism. And so that is oftentimes, because
you see her look at me.
because it's kind of sad, but before, if somebody presented with pancreatic pain and had pancreatitis, the first thing that we tended to think was that they drank a lot, because that was the number one cause of that.
That's the wrong arm, though.
What you doing? He's hurt. What are you looking for, Keith?
First of all, the way Julia gave me a look, Jermaine, we're gonna take a break. I'm gonna run out to the car. No, I'm kidding, man.
Hey, yeah, we're about to start the music, man.
Because she said alcoholism. She looking at me. I have been drunk since last night.
24 hours.
24.
You doing it, Keith? You doing
it on the drive up here? There's quite a few people enjoying themselves on the lawn. I mean, with big bottles.
I know.
So,
it's a nice day out. Start the party early.
But you don't have to drink a lot. People
You
think
don't.
you have to be a real heavy drinker. You don't have to drink a lot. When they tell you what is over drinking, it's like what, for a woman, more than 2 drinks?
One a day.
One a day.
Oh, one a day. Men too.
Have 2. Okay.
So wouldn't your body mass have something to do with that too, right?
Not necessarily. I mean, it more your tolerance. If you never drink and you have a drink, you really feel it. If you used to having 5 drinks, it's going to take 5 drinks before you really are starting to feel it. Being overweight, it can take more, but the bottom, your liver has to has to metabolize all that. And it still is going to, for men, they have more muscle, and they actually break down alcohol a little bit differently than women do. And so that's why we say 2 drinks for men. And I don't even know if that's from a health standpoint, more so than after 1 drink, most people already feel something.
But I'm thinking because what blood alcohol is 0.8,
Mm-hmm.
they would say that's usually about 2 drinks.
Yeah, it doesn't take much to get you there. Now, again, some people at 0.8 might be walking around seeming like nothing's, like they haven't had a drink at all, and then there might be somebody that can't even stand up.
I think people doing long-term drinking, they build up a different tolerance.
They do.
Right. In terms of, I got in trouble during COVID, and we had a lot going on, and there were churches who were very upset that they had to close down. But they said, but the liquor store stayed open, the cannabis dispensary stayed open, and Rhonda pointed something out to me that I'd never thought about. So just think about if people didn't have access to alcohol, that people would go into all kind of medical distress,
and they'd be taking up those ICU beds.
Right. And so, as much as people wanted to moralize it, it was more of a health concern that you had. And obviously for people who, not legal in this state, but in states like Illinois, Minnesota, where they're using cannabis to deal with pain, it would have had just a dramatic impact. And I think that that's why even we talk about the importance of vaccines as much as we can. And I know there are all the conspiracy people out there. Unfortunately, the person who's over our health care is a person who has all these conspiracies. Not even a medical doctor, they're a lawyer. And I know you were mentioning there's one state where
COVID vaccines aren't available.
But the states that were supportive, where the people were supportive of the current president, they really get hit hard. You know, like say Mississippi, we found out how unhealthy the state of Mississippi was. And there was a guy.
And they voted for him.
Yeah, and there was a guy.
Almost all those
Marcus
southern
Lamb.
states.
I don't know if you know who Marcus Lamb is. Marcus Lamb was an evangelist and great preacher. He does Daystar. His family does Daystar, and his wife, she regularly had people on, and they were all poo-pooing all of the COVID kind of things. And look, it was, you know, they call it the fog of war. Here's a variation of a virus we'd never dealt with before. And so you got to go. So then we err on the side of caution. So yes, we had to close down things because that's how we discovered that it was being spread, right? We thought that it was on the surface. No, we found out no, actually it was aerosol. So we found out a lot. You don't know, and you're in the middle of that. And if you look at the then president, who was in denial, you know, because he didn't want to see businesses closed, you know, and people are dying.
Yeah.
And they did an estimate of the number of people that the COVID vaccine actually saved their lives. So when we talk about that, here's the thing about vaccines. It doesn't say that you won't get the virus.
Absolutely.
What it says is that you will not necessarily have an acute onset of that virus, right?
You might not get as ill as you would if you had not.
If you had not had the virus.
Yeah, one of my friends, the doctor told her she had gotten her COVID vaccines and she's got severe asthma and respiratory issues. And she ended up in the hospital and intubated. And they said if she hadn't gotten that virus, her doctor said, I don't believe you would have even survived.
She hadn't gotten the vaccine.
Yeah, if you didn't get the vaccine, you would not have survived.
You know, I always say that we have an army in our body. And our army wants to protect us. And we have to.
And those shots bring us.
The Lord.
Yes. And those vaccines add more to our army, right, Julia?
You're giving them the weapons.
That's right. Yeah.
To fight it. They can identify it. And like, oh, we got this. We got this.
Yeah. Oh, wait, I recognize that. Yeah, he's got to go.
Yeah,
let's go.
We got this. Now, I might make you a little sick. But we got this.
But we're going to chase him out of town.
Yeah. And you want to keep your army strong. And you do that by not just only taking vaccine. Rest. We don't rest enough. We don't.
And some of those viruses, like the flu, COVID, they will make you rest because your body needs, people say, oh, fight through it. Keep doing this. One, you go to work, you put other people at risk. That's one thing. But the other thing is that your body wants to rest because it needs to devote all of its attention and energy to healing you. That's why you get so tired. Your body that's your body's way of saying, I need you to be still because I got to use all the energy I have to be able to fight this. Right. I got this, but you got to stop moving around. Lay down so I can work. Our bodies are amazing.
Because I'm a soldier
in the army.
Boy, yeah,
I'm
you can get the old saints up on that one. Yeah, and now I'm an old saint.
I think we all sang that song.
Sanctified soldier in the army of the Lord.
If I die, let me die.
In the
army. If I die, let me die. I don't like singing that verse.
You're right. Be like, hold on. Hey, everybody clapping to that part. Soon as Keith, if I die, let me die. Hey, hold on, bro. You by yourself.
Right.
Hold on.
That's taking it too far.
Wait. Absent from the body is to be present with the Lord, but I don't want to be in her presence yet.
Like, Lord, I love you, but let me stay a little while longer.
You're listening to Community Voice. We're inside Be Healthy, Be You. We're in the Army, y'all.
Woo, woo, woo.
Wow, everybody want to be in the Army until it's time to die.
It's time to die.
Somebody got to live to tell a testimony, so it might as well be me. I
Hey,
tell how good Keith was.
Hey,
Mhm. Sing it now.
Hey, real talk though. I hate to get all biblical up in this piece, but Jesus at Gethsemane. Now, do I need to die?
Yeah, right.
Because I don't really
I don't
want
want
to.
to.
You know,
Father,
so
can you
3
please?
times asked the question.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, it's one thing. You know, when you're theoretical about it,
Yeah.
but now you up against it is a totally different thing.
Yeah, Jesus had common sense too.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
You're listening to Community Voice. We're inside Be Healthy, Be You. Miss Julia Means, Miss Brenda Buchanan, Central Wisconsin. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Now, back to Be Healthy, Be You with your host, Keith Parris, Brenda Buchanan, and Julia Means on WNOV 860 AM and 106.5 FM.
We all the way live. All the way live.
So welcome back. We are live here in the
you.
beautiful studios of WNOV here on beautiful Chestnut Hill. A lot of people don't know we're on Chestnut Hill. And so did we do the weather today?
The weather.
Did
No,
we do
we
the
didn't.
weather? Okay, well, at some point.
We need to.
With Miss Fashinsky?
Well, yeah, it played during the commercial.
You know, I was, as we're sitting here talking about the importance of vaccines and, you know, so many people are, you know, we got conspiracies. And when we first started talking about, at this point, when COVID had first happened, we didn't have a vaccine at that point. We were more dealing with treatment as opposed to prevention and mitigation. But when the COVID vaccine was available, I am a descendant of enslaved Africans. I made sure I took my behind when white people were getting their shots.
You know how many times Julie and I heard that? I ain't gonna get this. Like, why? Don't you try? I don't know what vaccine they gave you. I'm going where the white people got theirs. Okay.
I made sure because I'm going down. If y'all sit up here talking about they sent a different vaccine to our community, so I walked in.
Oh, don't get that Johnson & Johnson.
Oh yeah, look at all these white people. I guess I'll be okay.
Yeah. But we heard that a lot, didn't we, Julia?
I mean, it was real because, you know, you think about, and there is, and unfortunately, such a distrust people have already of healthcare, right? There's a suspicion of healthcare. We had to spend an enormous amount of time when, you know, Black folks was calling in talking about Tuskegee. We pointed out to them that the difference with Tuskegee was they withheld treatment. That was the difference, to see how people would react and what the adverse or how bad it would be in terms of people getting syphilis. It wasn't that they injected people with syphilis, because quiet as it's kept, we do have not so much an issue now. We're doing better, but certainly a lot of those, what do they call it now? It used to be called venereal diseases. Now
infections.
they're called infections now. And when the guy told me that there are like 28 different venereal diseases.
Oh yeah, there's a lot.
So I'm just saying, in terms of, we have a certain distrust that we might have for this. And I think also, and I'm emphatic about this, science does not mean that there is no God.
Absolutely.
I'll say it one more time. Science does not mean that there is no God. I use the example. If I go into Dr. Means's office and sit down for a consultation on what I am experiencing, and the first book that Dr. Means pulls off of her shelf is a Bible, I'm in trouble. Right?
Right.
Because that means that everything human, that's why you're talking about, you know, Pastor Malone, you know, I mean, but that's, let me say this, that's the exception to the rule. That's not the rule.
And he said that.
Right.
You know, funny you should say that, is because this week and in our study, we learned that, you know, how God created the earth, but he also created the scientists and the physiology people and all that to understand what he did. He wants them to be able to understand his creation and be able to protect it. When you know about it, you can protect it. God does not like scientists. He gave men that mind to be able to study and get to that level. But once you get to that level, you're supposed to understand. And that's why so many of our scientists and all these people are saying we're destroying our earth. That's
fact.
Yes. But if they weren't studying it,
they wouldn't know that.
We wouldn't even be aware of what he wants us to
Well, sure. He created the laws of physics. That wasn't created by man. That's
He created
know,
he created all of that, and he gave.
we
them the
may have
mind.
named it, but he's the one that created the laws of physics. We just
She
have
did
given a
a
name
she
to
did
it.
an incredible job when she created existence.
Yes, she did.
Hang on in there.
We don't have Keon to go berserk.
No, but I'm looking at Julia.
And I'm with Julia.
But why couldn't it be a she?
Well, because it ain't.
Well, how do you know that?
How you know
Because it just
I
ain't.
didn't say. I
Well,
didn't
no,
say it
Keith
was.
said- Keith
I
said
said,
she.
why couldn't it be?
Because it ain't.
Why? How do you know that?
Because the Bible said.
Okay.
What is who wrote the Bible? Who developed he and she?
Okay.
Okay. Well,
So-
we don't want to really go down
Yeah,
that
but
road.
I was about to say, if you want to open that door, it's a whole. It's a,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, not saying like a woman and a man. I'm saying the concepts of he, she,
I mean, we need to
the
simplify.
definition
But
of
I
he,
always
she.
also say this to people: you need to understand that the Bible had the science of its time.
Mm-hmm.
I would wonder what the Bible would look like today if it was authored today. I think, and then again, all I'm saying to people is that your faith is important, but we do live in a fact-based world,
yeah.
and whether people will push back on that. You know, I've had arguments with people about a young lady was telling me she said math is truth,
Yeah.
and I'm going, yeah. I mean, not the only truth, but it's truth. I mean, 1 + 1 is 2, but there is a black person who will then call in to this program, and they will say it depends on the one.
This dude. But you know what, Keith?
It don't depend on the one.
It don't.
One is one.
One is one.
One is one. I mean, some things just are. And I think that gets back to we have suspicions about vaccines, right? And then I'm amazed at what people say they won't put in their bodies.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll sit up and eat pork chops,
Alcohol,
sugar,
chitlins.
Lowry season. Put some
yeah,
seasoning.
salt. I mean, things that are really doing destructive things to our bodies
every day, and we're putting those things in
we're putting
every
it in our
day.
body, and then somebody says, "Hey, this is going to prevent you from, having a very serious illness." And people, I don't know, I don't trust it. You trust those pork chops?
Wait. But
Mhm.
I mean, just to play devil's advocate for those people that have the question of
Okay.
why would I get the shot? And this is just a question that I hear all the time. So since you guys are in the field, you can actually chime in and kind of clear some things up. But I hear this all the time. Why get the shot and I don't have flu and or COVID? And if I get the shot, they're putting the virus in your body.
But they're not putting the virus in your body. It's not an activated virus, not a live virus.
So, but isn't it a small protein of it?
It's dead.
the protein
It's
is dead, and they
So it had a
develop
funeral service. It's dead.
right. So no, they develop the sequence based off of that. So that triggers your body, but it cannot cause infection
No, right. But
because it doesn't have that.
right. So but the purpose of you getting the shot is so your body can get used to that virus.
So your
right?
body can identify that protein that might be in that
And
virus and say, oh, and then build antibodies to fight it if you're exposed to it.
And then if you're
So
if
it's
you're
like
immune-
taking this long sequence of things
Right.
and taking one little, this whole room, take this thing right here and take one little dot out of here to use to trigger the body into an immune response. You're not putting this whole virus into your body.
But you're still putting the virus in your body because you took a little
No,
part.
it's a inactive. It's dead. It's not active.
Well, who killed it? How did that?
The lab killed it.
I'm
The lab
frustrated.
killed it.
I'm frustrated.
Lab
Somebody
did
going to
it.
be held accountable. Well, who
Mhm.
killed it?
I don't know. That could be a whole. That's right.
It's like,
And
I did not kill the deputy.
no, but these are, and the only reason why I'm asking you like that
No,
is
I
because
agree.
those are
This is-
questions that
these are questions that we
people
hear.
would ask. So,
Mhm.
right, when we're
Mhm.
talking
Mhm.
in the shop, and then when you pull it up on Google, it do tell you that they are putting a small portion of
Okay.
that virus. No, wait.
People
now,
tell you not to trust
wait.
Dr. Google.
I get it, but nowadays that's what
People look at.
and that's
People
the
look
information
at,
that's
and that's
available
sad.
to you.
That's there's more. I mean, you can go to more reliant sites like the CDC. I mean, I wouldn't even.
now you can't.
I wouldn't even do right. You can't
So,
now.
Yeah,
But not even things like WebMD are not necessarily trusted sources. I
Okay.
mean, they summarize, but you know. Unfortunately, the CDC was our best place to go for information. But you want to go Mayo Clinic, things like that, where you know you're going to have you're going to have accurate information and
WebMD
up
would
to
be
date.
more a general thing, and that's
Sure.
the thing. Like if people call me, let's say what I do for a living, they call me and they'll have a general question about child support. They say da 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 happens.
Right.
You find out no, it's the individual, right? Even though there might be some general things, most people like the percentage of people who might have adverse effect to the COVID vaccine, right?
Right.
Mhm.
And a term I stopped using, but statistically it might be insignificant, but still statistically important because somebody did have that.
Sure.
And so then if Julia fits that profile of a person who might have that adverse reaction, they'll change the dosage, right? You know, for the most part, you know, there's the general rule, but in many rules we have, there's an exception to the rule.
Or it might identify people who should not get the vaccine.
Right.
You know, if you have history of this or that this would not be a vaccine for you to take. So that's all research, you know, that's all they use all that information to make things better, to make it, to look at every side of every med, everything you do. What's the ones you're always going to see? Nausea, vomiting, GI distress, right? Those are things that you're going to see everywhere. And a lot of times we get that and within a week or two it's dissolved.
So,
But those major ones, they happen so rarely that you have to look at, is the benefit of getting that vaccine, is it worth it? Because if I don't get it, this is what could happen.
now I know, you know, when we was having the conversation, one of the guys that walked into the shop said that he was never sick before, and with his job, he had to get the shot in order for him to keep his job. He said once he got the shot, he has never been as sick as he's been since he's got the shot. And
was it one day or has it been chronic?
No, well, he said he was sick for about a week after the shot.
Okay.
And then every now and again, you know, he gets sick like
Well, let me
that.
ask, is how much of that though could be psychosomatic? I mean, in terms,
Well, it could be psychosomatic. And then there are people that have autoimmune disorders that are underlying that they aren't aware of, right? So the vaccine didn't cause it, it just kicked it up. So I'll give you an example. And I mean, this is one of my dogs. He went and got his vaccines. We came home. Within an hour, he was paralyzed.
What?
I took him back to the doc. We sent him to the neurologist, and they thought maybe in that hour he had fallen, ruptured a disc or something like that. What had happened was he had an underlying autoimmune disorder that was never diagnosed. When he got the vaccine, it kicked his immune system into high gear, which is what we want. But if you have an autoimmune disease, when that does that, then that triggers that immune response that can make autoimmune diseases worse. So that's why when people get the vaccine, if you have, you know, when they had autoimmune disorders, they didn't want them taking the vaccine while that was active, because that just kicks your immune system up. And then autoimmune diseases are just our immune system going haywire, attacking parts of our body because it's out of control. So the vaccine, I mean, and his doctors were like, let's be clear, the vaccine did not cause his issue, it just kicked up his immune system. And because that was already underlying, then that led to that.
So why is it important that healthy people get a vaccine?
So they can stay healthy, is really. And not only that, when we get, like, COVID, the flu, it doesn't just affect us. If we go to work, we expose the people we work with. If we have grandparents or parents that are older, we do things for them. We put them at risk where their body may not fight it off the way that we do. So it's not just about us. It's about all the people that we come into contact with too. If you're caring for an elderly patient, or you have a baby at home, or you have a family member that's being treated for cancer or something like that, when they get that, their body can't fight it off.
So would you suggest people getting checked for any underlying yeah,
You would know.
before you take the shot?
You would know.
You would know. And if you don't know, I mean, and some of them are very difficult to diagnose,
Okay.
like rheumatoid arthritis, lupus. Some of those things are hard to diagnose. And so, but people are having symptoms. They're having flare-ups. So your doctor may even know, well, this is autoimmune. We just don't know what it is. So, but when people have active autoimmune things going on at that moment, they do want you to hold off on the vaccine, but they still want you to get it. But let's get this under control first.
So if you,
I'm
sorry. I was going to say, so if you're having like a real bad issue with arthritis or something like that,
a flare up or something like that.
Yeah, like a flare up, then you wouldn't suggest them taking the shot at that time.
No, and if they talk to their doctors, but they should still get it.
Okay.
But when I say a flare up, I mean, you can be doing
Swelling
good
up
for years, and all of a sudden you have a flare up for whatever reason.
Okay.
So it's back to the flu vaccine. So as just a general rule, should all Americans get a flu vaccine regardless of age?
Yep, 6 months and up.
Okay.
And the reason we don't do under 6 months is they're carrying their mother's immunity. So hopefully if their mother got their flu shot.
That's the other question about, should pregnant women be vaccinated?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Explain, you talked about that there's a dormant influenza cell or whatever as part of the flu shot.
It's
right?
dead.
What's the difference then between that and a COVID shot? Because COVID shot does not have COVID, right?
No, and those vaccines were developed in a very different way than the way flu shots are developed. Flu shots are developed basically in an egg.
Okay.
And so they're developed in a very, very different way.
Is that why they ask you, do you have a
egg
reaction?
allergies?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And if you have a minor egg allergy, it's not a big deal. But if you know that you can't be around eggs, or if you eat eggs, you get really sick or have a significant reaction, then probably not take the shot.
I was with doing some screenings and asking people, but did they want the flu? Oh no, I'm healthy and I have faith in the Lord. I know God is watching over me, and so I'm okay. And I'm like, oh, what church you go to?
I want to join there.
Mm-hmm.
Where you go? Well, I don't go to church. I'm like,
One of
Okay.
those spiritual people.
No, they use God when God is
Well,
when
I
they
think
want to.
it's Stevie Wonder. Those things we don't understand, superstition, and I think as much as certainly around these conversations where we eliminate superstition and people understand, again, it is fact based. Man, you get the flu, that ain't a belief,
Right.
right?
That's real.
That's real. You sick now. Your belief needs to kick in for healing.
Mhm.
But that's and we got and I used to say this to Julia. Part of why we were so dependent on prayer was we didn't have health care.
Right. You didn't.
So all
and
you
didn't have the
had,
medicines.
you didn't have the medicine.
You didn't have any of the things
and so
that we
the things that Mama came up with,
Mhm.
that was a whole lot of people died. We never talked about that in terms of, because you talked about the first influenza outbreak that we had here. And that was when 1917, 1918 or
Killed
something.
millions of people.
Kills millions of people. Hey, COVID killed millions of people. But
Mhm.
and I was going to use that number. He said about 17.5 million people lived because of the vaccine.
Mhm. Yeah, I definitely believe that.
Those numbers, and there are people I respect in this world, and we were having some very heated discussions about the importance of people getting, when the vaccine was available, getting the vaccine, right? What we also discovered, and maybe that's why the advisories are such, is that there were many people who contracted COVID. They didn't die.
Mhm.
You know, they were younger, they were healthier, they weren't dealing with comorbidities, you know, or extreme comorbidities, where we discovered that the first people who died, my friend died because he was dealing with diabetes.
Sure. And diabetes is one of those disorders, even with the flu. When you get ill, your diabetes, your blood sugars shoot up and they can go out of control. And when your blood sugars are out of control, it affects your entire body. And so, yeah, if you have diabetes, even if it's well managed, you get one of these, it's going to really, mess your
Or a
diabetes
lot
up.
of people who are dealing with respiratory issues
Mhm.
already.
Right.
Asthma, what is the other one? CP.
There's all kinds of
COPD.
COPD, emphysema.
Emphysema, you know, it was
Mhm.
so right now I think the advisory is that anyone who's dealing with certain morbidities get a COVID shot, and then everybody over 65.
Mhm.
Is that kind of where we are
Mhm.
right now? And you know, in some ways, again, because based on what people were able, the epidemiologists were able to figure out, was just like the flu. A younger person getting the flu is not going to have will probably have a different outcome than a 68-year-old who's dealing with high blood pressure.
And I just want to say obesity is a comorbidity.
Right.
So even people who say, well, I don't have high blood pressure, I don't have diabetes. If you're obese, that still puts you in that risk to get that vaccine. That's considered a comorbidity. Because we know a lot of overweight people didn't survive COVID.
Yeah, it was, and again, that's where you point out states like Mississippi, which, you know, is like considered one of the most unhealthy states, and a lot of that was just how you set up the healthcare system, and the people are suffering, and so, and look, we've now had the vaccine available for 4 years for COVID. I think I got my shot in 21.
Yep. We started the late fall into winter of 20 with the vaccine.
And my brother, you know, he's caught COVID because he's in an environment where
he's around people.
So he's had COVID 3 times. So it's important. And I know that people, you know, they have their feelings, oh, they go get that shot, you know, until you get the flu.
Then you want that shot after that.
But it's too late then, right? You have to.
Well, and that's what happened with COVID. How many people were begging, oh, can I have the shot? They were so sick. It's like, it's too late.
Yeah. And I started off talking about Marcus Lamb, and they were just in denial, you know, Lord. And he was a diabetic. And when he got COVID, it took him out. It took him out. And now his wife is on. And then this is the political piece. Society, that's why we have certain laws. That's why fentanyl is illegal, right? In terms of private use. There's certain things that will have a detrimental impact on society. And then government has to step in to say, hey, here's what we need to do. We need to shut this down, or we need to do this. In the military, they were talking about, now they're allowing the men and women who refused the COVID shots, who was then, you know, discharged, to come back. What these folks never understood was your whole personal freedom. You're in a group environment.
Right.
So that everybody can get sick.
That's right. You're right.
You know, and so that's the piece that I think people in all this religious freedom and I look, if you believe in faith healing, God bless you. I'm gonna get with my doctor first. And then once the doctor's given up hope, then, you know, because, you know, he's a doctor in the sick room. I don't know if you want him in the sick room. You'd like to believe that Ascension will provide the medical assistance that you need to get you through what you need to get through. So we talked about the myth is important. Certainly pregnant women should get both COVID
and flu.
When my mom with Gary, she was pregnant with Gary, she had the flu.
Oh.
And
double whammy. Well, we know what it's like to be pregnant, us two, and to have the flu on top of it.
Well, I know what it's like to be on the opposite end of dealing with a pregnant woman. that has the flu. That's like just how sick
Yeah,
they are.
because she's still trying to support another
Yeah,
life.
yeah.
And all right, you're inside Be Healthy, Be You. When we get back, we'll give away tickets. What we have now, The Last Dragon and Cooley High.
Who's the master?
Who? Show
Hold
up.
up.
Mhm.
We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
It's in there.
You should have saw my
It's in
eyebrows.
there.
Like,
Yeah, you just got to learn to squash that.
She was at your church, Ebenezer. I don't know if you remember Lynette.
who?
Lynette Cobb.
Hopgood?
No.
I would say that's my auntie.
No, but she used.
So what you know about
She
that?
used to. My 6th grade year, that girl bullied me. She bullied me. God, she bullied me. Every day she'd be waiting for me to get to school. She just bullied me. And I couldn't hit a girl, my mom. And I see her now and I flinch.
Like, remember me?
I'm all scared. Don't hit me.
remember
I remember you. Man. All right. 414-444-5250. 414-444-5250. We have tickets for The Last Dragon, Friday, September 12th at 8 p.m. And the classic, Cooley High, Saturday, September 13th at 7:30. So if you're interested, you can call now. We do still have tickets. This is part of Milwaukee Film Presents a weekend-long tribute to filmmaker Michael Schultz, sponsored by the Brewers Community Foundation at the Oriental Theater. Schultz grew up on Vine Street in Milwaukee, graduated from Riverside High School and Marquette University. He was at UW, Wisconsin, and he ended up at Princeton. Yeah,
Wow.
and the folks that got a chance to talk to him yesterday, and wow, it was just like the history and so I didn't know this, but Michelle had picked it up and Clark had picked it up. They had wrote me a sticky and said, "Hey, ask him about his wife and car wash." And I didn't get it to the end because I was more concerned about talking about Norman Whitfield doing the soundtrack for Car Wash, right? I'm going down.
You ain't around.
And the other little interesting thing, I'll get to that. The other interesting thing was they had flown Reverend Ike out to Hollywood to talk to him about playing Daddy Rich, because that's who Richard Pryor, that role is based on Reverend Ike. And he said that Reverend Ike's folks said that might not be good for your brand. But the fact that they actually brought in Reverend, that just blew my mind. But I didn't know this because I assumed, I don't know, all the research I did, but I look at this to see what his wife looked like. You know, his wife played the prostitute in Car Wash.
I heard you saying that this morning.
Yeah, and I was like, I didn't.
Come on, baby, I got a part for you.
I got a part for you. Well, you know, talk about trivia, and I know we talk about COVID vaccines. And Melvin Van Peebles' Sweetback's Badass song. There are 2 songs that Earth, Wind, and Fire did on. That's the only Earth, Wind, and Fire music I do not have, so I need to get that. But they did on the album. The backstory of that was Maurice White's girlfriend worked for Melvin Van Peebles. Melvin Van Peebles wanted her to do a top nude scene. So she said, well, I need to go talk to my boyfriend. So she go talk to Maurice. Maurice, I ain't go down and meet this. You got my girl out there like that. So one thing led to another. They really hit it off. And they end up doing 2 songs in that movie based on his
And then
girlfriend.
he's like, baby, you can take your shirt off.
No, she didn't. She found somebody else. He wasn't cool with that. But anyway, so again, if you want to win tickets, we have The Last Dragon, Friday, September the 12th at 8 p.m. And we also have Cooley High Saturday, September 13th at 7:30. He told me not to give the movie away. I said, is there any black person in America who has not seen Cooley High?
Right.
I mean, that's something with the color purple. You know, and the thing about the people that was in that movie, Glenn Turman, Garrett Morris from Saturday Night Live, Lawrence Hilton Jacobs. It was a great movie, and I could really identify with it. I remember, and he said that VHS said, no, man, I went to the theater to see Cooley High. But we could, especially those coming from the Midwest, because it was so similar, Chicago, Milwaukee, it was so similar, and things that everybody knew about quarter parties, you know, that you had that and all those things. So again, no, not interested?
Yeah.
You got it?
I got it.
You got it?
Yeah.
You got it?
Yeah, I figured since she was rolling and the ball was rolling down the hill, we could work as partners. I got you.
So right now, the advisory for people who, and again, you always saying we're a little whole thing with CDC. Anyone who's 65 or older, and then people who are dealing with certain health
for
issues
COVID.
for COVID.
Mhm.
Influenza is everybody.
Everybody.
Mhm. And
6
definitely talk
months.
to your doctor about it. They know your personal health history. If you have any questions on whether or not you should get the vaccine, your doctor can certainly help you out with that. Not flu, COVID.
What about shingles?
Yeah, talk to your doctor about that. I think it's at 50 now that they do the shingles vaccine.
Every 5 years?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's just a one-time thing right now.
Okay.
It's a 2 doses, one-time thing. You're probably thinking more of like one of the pneumovax shots is for 5 years. One is 4. I think the 13 is 4, and the 20 is 5.
And you didn't offer me this option, but right now you can also do a nasal influenza.
They stopped that.
No,
Yeah, they
they're
brought it
advertising-
back this year.
They're advertising it on TV.
But I mean, usually people that do that are people
It's not as
who,
effective.
no, they prefer that you get the vaccine.
Why?
Um,
No, I mean,
yeah, there
'cause
there
they're
are
seeing-
limitations to. I think if you have certain conditions, you can't have I'd have to look it up, but there are limitations with the nasal.
but I think anytime you're trying to do nasal, it's not going to be as much as when you do a direct right into the system, right?
Mhm.
But they are advertising. That's the only reason why I'm
Mhm.
talking about
Yeah,
it,
I
because
noticed
they are
that. It's just
advertising that people
recent.
can. They,
and it's probably more expensive
right.
than the flu vaccine, and that's why ours is free.
What about what is it? The respiratory vaccine,
The
RVS,
RSV.
RSV.
Mhm.
Would you suggest? And who would be
Oh,
more
the-
likely to get that particular vaccination?
They definitely is it 60 and older for RSV or 65, and if you're in your last term of pregnancy, like
Okay.
within a month of delivery, to be able to protect that baby.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, we talk about that with pregnant women. They can pass viruses on. Am I correct?
Well, they can, but that's why we want to get them vaccinated so
Right.
that their babies can have that immunity. And we always say the older you are, because your immune system is not as strong as it was when you were younger. And so like flu and RSV and all those other things can really put you down. So you want to maintain a healthy body and get your immunizations just like our children do.
Mhm.
And you want to protect your children. The RSV is really deadly
can
for
be, yes.
infants. And
And it's shown
babies.
us now for the older people too. It was really deadly. That's why we never had a vaccine for older people until a couple years ago.
Mhm.
But we've always known that it's deadly for babies. So, and I just kind of looked up FluMist, which is the nasal vaccine for ages 2 through 49 are the ones that are eligible to get it. And then there are some restrictions within there.
Okay. All right.
So you wouldn't have been eligible.
Any chance you get to throw it at me? You throw it at me, don't you?
You wouldn't. It wouldn't.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have worked.
Well, go home and do your exercise tonight so you don't get that sciatica again.
Yeah.
We don't want that.
Especially after a flu shot.
Right. That's why I'm saying you got to go home and do your exercise.
So it's important that we get vaccines again. You can contact your physicians.
Right. And you should probably be able to go to any like Walgreens or anything like that and get it. I don't know if the health department is doing flu vaccines. I don't know, but there are a lot of places to get the flu vaccine. If you want it, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to get it. And then we have a couple of dates during our stock boxes at St. Francis and St. Joe's. We will be there doing flu shots. So the first Wednesday of the month, between the hours of 10:30 and 12, or no, 10 and 12:30, we're at St. Joe's doing flu vaccinations. And the second Wednesday, same time frame, we're at St. Francis.
Yes. So that would be Wednesday, October the 1st at St. Joe's Hospital. Where are you going to be located at, Brenda?
We are in the 51st and Chambers entrance.
Okay.
which is the old entrance, not the main lobby. The first one you come, if you turn off of 51st and Chambers, there's a little circle drive right there. That's where we'll be.
And what time would you be there?
10 to 12:30.
Okay. And then at St. Francis Hospital, September 10th, Wednesday, September 10th. And that's like right in the main.
It's in the room 100 of the Ohio building. So if you go into the main lobby and ask them where that is, it's close. You're off the main lobby, but you got to walk down a little bit, and we'll be there too. And those are free flu vaccines for adults.
Mhm. And if you come to Ebenezer Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday from 9 to 4, I'm there, and I can also give you a free flu shot.
Okay, well, I got my flu shot, so no, let me encourage people. People say I never got sick until you get sick.
Right.
And
Until you do.
I think anybody who's ever dealt with influenza or dealt with COVID, a very severe case of COVID, knows that. And then we're dealing with people dealing with long COVID. So, we're dealing, viruses. And we've always had viruses. We're going to have viruses as long as, we're in existence. But the thing, and let me applaud the medical world for the things that have done, things that used to be, they were life ending is not the case now. And so again, certainly if you don't have a primary care physician, get you a primary care physician, and we'll be coming up on open enrollment pretty soon.
Pretty soon, October 15th, maybe somewhere around in there. And it's a shortened time this year, so get out and do it.
Yeah. Be healthy, be you. Miss Julia Means, Miss Brenda Buchanan, Ascension, Wisconsin. Ladies, thank you. Welcome back.
Thank you.
It's always fun.
Yeah.
All right. The good Lord willing, quick, don't rise. Hope to talk to everybody tomorrow.